So thank you all for spending time with us today. We're thrilled to be here. I'm Brandon Bruce. As you can see from my background, I'm a co-founder of Uncat. Let's see, let me move to the side. There's the cat. And I'm joined by my good friends, Allison Garcia, Ali Moore, and Sharisa Barnett from CoraCloud. And so we're thrilled to have you all here today. We're going to show you around all of our applications, so CoraCloud as well as Uncat, show you how they can work together a little bit. And at the end of the day, how they can hopefully save you a ton of time, make your practice run smoothly and better, so you can bring on board even more clients and serve the ones you have already even better. That's our goal. So we'll let some more people, I think, are knocking on the door and coming in right now. So we'll let that happen. Oh, I always like to start off any presentation with a decent, or maybe not such a great joke, but my kids are pretty little still, 12 and 10, and so they appreciate a good dad joke. This is going to have an accounting spin to it, which is, what did the overworked asset say to the other asset? Anybody heard this one before? I said, I feel underdepreciated. So there you go. Now you can take that back to your firm and share it with some of your colleagues. So let me show you Uncat today. Hopefully some of you have heard of it. If you had, post it in the chat, because we love to hear that the message is getting out. I got to attend a couple conferences this year in Orlando, BKX for bookkeepers, as well as Thrive, part of the Scaling New Heights series that Woodard puts on. And then also spent a little time in Vegas at the ICPA conference. And then there's another conference coming up in Vegas in a couple months. In this early December, QuickBooks Connect is coming back for the first time in person since 2019. So I'll be there. So if any of you have plans to travel out to Vegas in December, definitely look for the big cat banner. That'll be our booth, and happy to chat with you more about Uncat. It's always great to meet folks in person. So Uncat actually originated not from me, but from my co-founder, Adam. So he runs a firm here in Knoxville called Two Roads, and it's got about 300 clients. And we were having lunch a couple years ago, and he said, it's a huge hassle. We export and email out 300 spreadsheets a month of uncategorized transactions, expenses, deposits, because we need information back from the clients in order to categorize them properly, close the books, run budgets, file taxes, etc. And he said, the clients do not love receiving the spreadsheets. In fact, many of them hate it. Some of them don't even answer. And even when they do answer, we get a spreadsheet back, and we got to copy and paste all the data from the spreadsheet into QuickBooks Online and do the manual categorization. And he said, it seems like a huge hassle. There's got to be a better way, right? You can build apps on QuickBooks. He said, do you think we could build an app that would solve for this? Do you think we built an app that syncs the uncategorized transactions and then notifies the client, gathers their information better and faster than a spreadsheet, allows us to categorize, and then syncs it all back in to QuickBooks? And so I thought, yeah, fantastic, we can do that. So that's what we built. That's what Uncat does. And in fact, I will let me record this in case any of you want a copy of it at the end. We'll record this webinar. That way you can refer to it later if you want. Of course, we've got demos on our website, and CoraCloud does as well. But let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll show you around the app a little bit. And if you're thinking, I also send out spreadsheets, or I copy and paste into an email the information I need back from a client, maybe that's not the optimal way to do it, then hopefully Uncat can be useful to you. So let me jump in here. And right now you're looking at our homepage. So again, you'll see the cat everywhere. But from here, this is where you would start a trial of Uncat. Just click through, you'll create an account. Next thing you'll do is sign in to QuickBooks Accountant, QuickBooks Online Accountant, or you can connect QuickBooks Desktop clients. And we also integrate with Xero. So any of those platforms, you can create a free 2-week trial, connect up Uncat. And once you put in your client's email address, let them know that they're going to get contacted by Uncat. But once you put in their email address, we'll shoot them a note, and all it's going to say is, hey, your accounting professional, Diana or Ken or Teresa or Brandon, needs information back from you about 17 transactions. Click here to go straight to your dashboard. And so importantly, we don't want clients to have to create an account, set a password, download or maintain an app. We just want it to be dead simple. So all the client has to do is click a link, and we're going to take them straight into their dashboard, where they're going to see a list of transactions, which they can then update so that we know what the information is and we can go ahead and categorize. So let me show you the app. First thing I'll start, this is the dashboard, but let me show you settings first. So in settings, because this kind of determines how you get going with the app. Inside settings, it will show you a list of the clients that you've connected to Uncat. It'll show you a list of your colleagues So some of you, if you work on your own, if you're sole proprietorship, it'll list you. But if you've got colleagues, coworkers that work with you, other bookkeepers, other accountants, and you want them to be able to manage some or all of the clients that you've added to Uncat, you can make those assignments here. It'll have your user settings. This is popular. You can basically white label or co-brand the apps. You can change the color of Uncat. You can upload your own logo, and you can put your own firm or personal name in here. That way, when your clients arrive, they know it's you, and they feel confident and comfortable in it. Oh, and I'll mention our billing because it's super easy. It's just $5 per client per month that you connect to Uncat. So it's a very low cost, big time saving utility application. So that's the overall settings. And when you click into the settings for the first client, this is going to show you these are the accounts that we're syncing into Uncat for this client. So usual suspects that we sync a lot for lots of different firms would be uncategorized expense, income and asset, ask my accountant, ask my client. Suspense is the popular account on the zero side, but you can name accounts whatever you want, and you can choose to sync as many of them as you want into Uncat. So you can click here and choose any account from your chart of accounts, and we will sync it into Uncat for you. You can also do some cool things where even if transactions have been categorized appropriately, you still might want to sync them into Uncat because they're missing a certain field and you want to get that information back from your client. So for example, if it's like, oh, we want to sync in every transaction missing a class, that way we can get the class back from the client. That's a popular use case among nonprofit clients. Or you might say, any of these transactions that are missing a vendor or they're missing receipts, attachments, we want to sync those in so that we can get answers back from the client. So you've got some options. You can choose a sync start date. By default, we sync back to the most recent close date or 1 year back in time. But if you need to go back farther, if you've got a new client, you're doing some cleanup, then you can certainly do that. Just set it back to the beginning, in this case of 2021, or you can go back to 2020, 2019, whatever you want to set it to, and we'll sync transactions from that date all the way up to the present. And then we will automatically notify your client on a schedule that you set here. So the default is weekly. That tends to get the best responses back from clients. If you make it monthly, oftentimes the client will write back, I can't remember. It's been 4 weeks, traveled 10 times since then. I don't know what that one was for. So weekly gives them a chance to recall, oh yeah, that's the one I put on my credit card for that client. That's when I took them out to dinner, et cetera. So weekly tends to work pretty well. You can set the day of the week. You can turn on this switch if you want to be notified immediately when this client makes updates. It's kind of a VIP setting. If it's a top client, you want to know as soon as they touch something, you can toggle that on. Otherwise, we send you essentially a daily digest that says, this many of your clients made this many updates in Uncat, if there are any updates at all. So if there are 10 clients made 200 updates, great, it'll all show there. Quick question from Tracy, does this work desktop as well? Yes, it does. So you can connect. In fact, I'll show you a screen for that in a second where you can choose to connect QuickBooks Online or desktop or zero. And then Lisa, another question with the settings, Dext and QBDT, the attachment is only a link in the memo. Could it be set for memo or something similar? That's a great question. Let's talk about that more in a follow-up. So for desktop, the API doesn't support actually sending in a file. So the file would be in Uncat. You can certainly download it from here and then put it in to desktop. But another option could be putting a link in there that then would open up the attachment stored on the Uncat side. So that's certainly possible. That's a great question. Do you use numbers with your chart of accounts? We don't for the ones in the demo, but you can. And so if you have numbers in your chart of accounts, there's a setting in here and you can turn them on so that they'll show up. That way you can search for accounts in the dashboard by number, see them by number. Absolutely, totally possible. And then these are the client dashboard settings. So by default, these are the columns that are going to show up in your dashboard, and you can choose which fields are the most important for any given client. So you want to make those primary table columns. And then others, these fields will still be available to you. They just won't be columns. They'll just be in an expansion. And that'll all make sense when I show you the dashboard in a second. Here, receipt is editable by the client, meaning they can upload a receipt. That's not required. Now, I know at least a couple of you are from Canada. Frequently, Canadian firms will require an attachment, especially if they're just syncing in expenses, because they have to have a receipt for pretty much everything. And then description here is editable, and it is required. So by default, we require the client to put in a description. You can make it optional if you want, but one of the big points of Uncat is to get the description back so that you can go ahead and categorize. Constantly chasing clients for receipts, no doubt. And even in the case, because Adam's clients all use a receipting expense management application. You might use Dex, was already mentioned, Expensify. There's a number of other apps out there. But as we always like to point out at Uncat, even though you have a receipt, doesn't necessarily mean that you know what the thing was for. So I can give you a receipt from Amazon. It says television on it, but that could be a TV I bought for my house. It could be a gift for a client. It could be to put up in the new office. It could be for any number of reasons, all that have different budget and tax consequences. So it's useful to then use Uncat for a transaction like that. Say, look, I saw your receipt. I need some more information back. So this is a default setup for most clients. Most of the time, we, at least internally, we just want a description back. But you can turn on this master switch. We call it the client superpower. And you can give clients the ability to see as many of these fields as you want, to edit as many of them as you want. So you could say, hey, look, they can come in and they can edit class, edit vendor, edit customer. And that's fine. Maybe the client is sophisticated. They're inside QuickBooks with you all the time. They can do this. And so why not ask them to? And you can even require certain fields. So you could say, not only do I want them to edit this, but I want to force them, the client, to categorize every transaction because they know how to do it. And so we'll let them do it. Or I want them to give it their best guess. And that way I can review it. They can learn as they go. And inside the dashboard, and I'll show you this, you'll be able to review their selections and approve them or change them and sync them into QuickBooks. And then you can even give clients the option to create records, like create a new account, create a new customer, create a new vendor. Totally up to you. For most clients, those are not enabled, but you may have clients where it's relevant. I'll toggle this back off for now. And then lastly, in settings, then I'll show you the dashboard. This is the client users. So for some small clients, right, it's just the owner, just one user, perfectly sufficient. But you can add as many users as you want under any client. So you may add a client that has 25 vice presidents all across the world, and they're all going out and spending on their individual charge cards. So this second user here is an example. You can invite a user and assign them to a particular credit card. That way, they're only going to get notified about, and they're only going to see in their dashboard expenses on their credit card that they can answer for. But they're out doing their business. They don't really know about the expenses happening at the home office. So we don't need to put those in front of them. And we may not want to put those in front of them. So we can assign a payment account or accounts to these users. And then here's an example of an AR manager. So accounts receivable manager, we're going to assign them to look at uncategorized income and uncategorized income only. They can answer for the deposits, but they don't really have visibility into the client's expenses. And so we don't need to show that to that user. So you get some control over which users see what. So that's a quick round trip tour of settings. Again, it's pretty easy. You can get set up on Uncat in a matter of minutes. Go into the dashboard. First things first, I can show you what adding a client looks like. You just click, and then you'll connect to QuickBooks. I won't do that now, but you'll connect with QuickBooks and choose a client from your little QBOA drop-down menu. Or you'll go to Xero and connect to Xero and do the same thing. Or QuickBooks Desktop, you download the Uncat Web Connector file. And then you will add that to the QuickBooks Web Connector. Most of you probably have it already if you're using QuickBooks Desktop. If you don't, for some reason, Intuit provides it for free. So you'll just install that. Then you drag our file onto it. You'll enter in your Uncat password, and it will be able to connect to that QBDT file. Obviously, we can only connect to it when the server is available, when the client file is able to be accessed. If you shut down the server, we can't sync with it. But assuming it's available, we'll sync with it every half hour, I think is what we have it set to now. And you can always click update selected if you make a bunch of changes and you want to push some data back and forth. But otherwise, the interface that I'm going to show you here in the web is the same for QuickBooks Online, Xero, and QuickBooks Desktop. And I'll show you the few small differences among them. All right, so let me scroll down here. This is an example of a dashboard for a made-up company called Acme. There are 13 uncategorized transactions. And the first row here is an example of one where the client updated the description. So we highlight it in yellow, we label it client updated. You can see it's income, it's a deposit. We label that for your benefit, but also for your client's benefit. They know exactly what it is, where it came from. And so here you could come in and then choose the appropriate category for it. Or if it's a sales receipt, you can choose the right sales item for it. This next one is an example of if we opened up the setting for the client to be able to categorize the transaction. Here they've updated the description and they categorized it. So we label it with needs review. So you can look at it and say, yeah, absolutely, it is for car and truck. That makes sense. And you can click the little approve button over here and save it, and it'll sync it into QuickBooks. Or you can look at car and truck and say, that's not right. We don't use that. We don't use that count anymore. That it was a good guess, but we're going to use a different one here. We're going to use maintenance or something else. and you can come in here, choose from your chart of accounts, change it, and then save it into QuickBooks, and it will override their selection. And here you can also see you can choose a class. If you were missing the account that you wanted, you're like, well, this is a brand new type of transaction. We don't even have an account for that sort of thing yet. Obviously, you can go into QuickBooks and create it, or you just click the plus button and you can create a new account from Uncat. It'll create it in QuickBooks, and then you can sync to it. You can expand a given transaction. So we'll expand this Amazon one and see some additional fields. Here's billable, customer, tax, location. Again, you can make these primary column headers. If you find you're using location all the time for this client, make it a primary column header. Otherwise, it's available when you expand any given row just by clicking this little expansion button. If you select transactions here, so you can select a transaction, then you can come up here to the action menu and split it. So you can split this expense, or you can split deposits by category or by class. Or you can select multiple transactions and then apply a bulk rule. So you could come in here and apply the same class or location or vendor to all of them at the same time. So it's a bulk edit. It's a way to save time. If the client's like gone to a conference and loaded up their credit card on a bunch of related transactions, you can knock them all out at once. I think I saw a question come through. Let me check. What does categorizing do to the sales taxes? Does it touch it? Just the categorizing part shouldn't have any impact on our side. If there's workflow set up on the GL side, then obviously whatever existing workflow should still apply. If you come in and deal with the taxes, I'm in the US, so it's just a little toggle. For those of you in Canada, other jurisdictions, you might have a drop down that shows multiple tax rates. And we've actually done quite a bit of work on that because it's kind of complicated. But we actually just pushed an update on that this week that will kind of improve tax handling. And so we'll continue to see these different use cases for tax, but we do attempt to do our best at helping you handle that. And then we have some guides about, the setting in QuickBooks, whether it's set to be inclusive or exclusive, et cetera. Lisa's question, hopefully that helps, Natalia, let me know. And we can certainly follow up on the taxes side. Where does the description show up in QBDT? It shows up in the description field on that transaction. And then where does the attached receipt, wondering about the attached receipt via DEX and interference. Shouldn't interfere with that. So an example is, here's this Home Depot transaction. If you can see this one here, it says lumber for the outdoor space. This is the information that came through on the bank feed. It could also be written by another app like Dext or someone else that wants to put information about the transaction into the description field. We pull that in as read only. That way you can review it, you can see it, your client can see it, but you're not going to accidentally override it or delete it. And so when you add the description here, we sync it in and we separate the two. So it would say Home Depot number 52184//uncat// and then lumber for the outdoor workspace. So show everything in there. So a couple other creature features, like I just showed you the bulk update. Coming up at the top, you can jump to any client. So all the clients, I just have 3 located here. They're all here. So I can scroll down and see, oh, now I can work on my second client. Now I can work on my third client. You can show as many clients as you want on this screen. If you've got dozens or hundreds, we make it easy to jump to any particular client here. You can always type ahead and just go to a particular client you want to work on. And inside of a client, you can search. So if you just wanted to deal with, hey, let me just handle these Amazon transactions first. And as you might expect, we see a lot of expenses from Amazon, Home Depot, Costco, Lowe's, Walmart, where you can buy almost anything. So you almost always have to ask your client what it was for. We also see a lot of deposits from Venmo, PayPal, Square, Stripe, where it's like, it's great you got another Venmo, but your customer's not Venmo, that's payment method. We need to know who it was from and what it was for. So we see a lot of that in Uncat, as you can imagine. Otherwise, those are the highlight features. You can always click through here to tutorials. Certainly, we just did a tutorial, but we've got videos on the website that cover every individual feature, has a lot of information. There is also, I'll show you this last thing. On that page, you can even click and get a couple email templates. So if you're trying to introduce Uncat to your clients and say, hey, we're not going to do the spreadsheet anymore, we got an app to do it, then you can send them this or a version of this. You can copy paste it and change it however you want. And there's also an introduction for your colleagues. So if you work at a firm and you need to share it with your colleagues, you can introduce them that way. So I'll pause here because I'm excited to see CoraCloud, and we can talk a little bit about, and it's a very simple integration, how Uncat works with CoraCloud. But feel free to keep tapping in questions, and we'll answer some at the end also. But really quickly, to Lisa's question, if client has more than one company and only one email address. Perfect. So you can invite that client using that email address across as many companies as they control, and all their companies will show up conveniently on their client dashboard. You can also invite them with other email addresses if you want. If they're a coworker, it gets a little more complex, but if they're the admin, if they're the owner, and they've got, let's say, a bunch of real estate, so they've got trust 1, trust 2, and trust 3, it'll all show up on one page, which is super useful. We use that a ton. Absolutely. All right, team. Let me pause on the screen share on my side, and then Allie, Allison, Sharissa, I'm going to turn it over to you all to show off CoraCloud, which is super exciting. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. Can everyone see my screen? I'm still seeing Brandon, so.
I can see your screen.
Just let me know if you guys. Perfect. Okay. I cannot see it for some reason, but that's okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Allie. I'm over here with Coral Tree Tech. We're going to be demonstrating CoraCloud today. Thank you so much, Brandon. That was a great introduction to Uncat. We're so excited to be here. I do see some familiar names in the chat, which is always exciting. Super cool to see some of our existing users here to learn about Uncat. Let's get right into it. So just to confirm, you guys can see my screen, correct? Also, we are going to be launching a poll. I believe it should be coming up on everybody's screen now. You guys can go ahead and answer those questions, and I will go ahead and get started. So what I'm showing on the screen right now is our CoraCloud dashboard. But before I get into the demonstration of CoraCloud, I want to talk a little bit about what it is for, why we created it, and what it aims to do. So CoraCloud is an all-in-one client portal practice management solution. And by all-in-one, we mean we want you to be able to get rid of certain products in your tech stack. We've got in CoraCloud a general workflow tool. We've got unlimited e-signatures, and we've got unlimited client management, all at one low cost, which I'll get to at the very end. So CoraCloud was created, if you know about Qbox, that is our flagship product, and we were getting feedback. We saw a need for a product like CoraCloud in our existing user base already for Qbox. So we created CoraCloud with direction and feedback from accounting and tax professionals just like yourself. What I'm showing on the screen here is a dashboard, and what it is it's a quick overlook at what's going on in your account right now. So because CoraCloud is a client portal, everyone who has access to CoraCloud is going to have their own dashboard. So for example, I'm logged into my admin account, so I can see what's going on in my account. But if I had a client or one of my client's employees was to log into their account, they would only see documents and signatures that are pertinent to them and their recent activity. So if we go over to the My Clients tab, this is where a lot of the collaboration happens in CoraCloud. We do support unlimited clients, like I mentioned earlier. So I only have 5 here for demonstration purposes. But if you do get to that point, right, where you have 200 clients, 1,000 clients, you can go ahead and switch to a list view. And that's going to show you more of your clients in an easier way to look at it. So as far as our sharing structure, we've got some forced mapping here. Like I said, we built this with feedback from accountants and tax professionals, and we didn't want it to be something similar to what some of those free alternatives to storage that are out there on the market right now, because the most important thing is that those are not going to be secure. A lot of those big name cheaper alternatives to storage, they're not going to have the same encryption that we have. We have 256-bit encryption at CoraCloud. So that means your documents and your client's documents, anything that is being stored in CoraCloud, you can ensure that it's not going to be seen by anybody that you don't want to see it. So we do support 3 different models of different types of clients. We've got an individual, a business owner, and a corporation. But for these purposes, I'm going to go ahead and click into one of our individuals, Nolan, here. And when I click into Nolan, I see his different businesses. We call these entities here. If Nolan was just an individual, and they would appear as project folders, but since he is a business owner, I am seeing his businesses. If he was a corporation, I would see his subsidiaries. So once I click into any business, now I'm going to see 2 working spaces. And we give you these two working spaces in order to collaborate with your team members and your clients. But once you pass these two working spaces, you actually have full capability to organize this however you want. So if you want, to organize these, you want to create folders by fiscal year, or you want to create folders by document type, that's really up to you. So what I've got in here, I've just got 2 engagement letters. Wanted to go ahead and show you guys the e-signature portion of CoraCloud. That's one of the most handy features I think we've got right now, and it is fully included in your membership. So there's no extra fees unless you want to use KBA, which we do have available as well. So I want to go ahead and show you how easy it is to initiate an e-signature in CoraCloud. So as you can see, I just click those 3 dots, and now I'm being presented with 3 different options. So I'm being presented to prepare a one-off document, or I can create or apply an existing template. So during tax season, using those templates can save you a bunch of time, because instead of dragging and dropping, those signature components over and over again, you really just have to double click and apply that pre-existing template. So if you've used any of the other e-signature tools that are on the market right now, this is very similar, but it is our own technology. So that's why we are able to give it to you included in your membership instead of at an additional cost. So a couple options here that you've got. If you need to include your own signature on a document, you can go ahead and click this checkbox. If you want to enforce signature order, you can go ahead and click this checkbox. That means that the first person would need to complete signing the document before the second person even is prompted to sign that document. So I know there are some forms that require that, so we do give you that option. So for this, I'm just going to go ahead and invite, let's say, 1 person, and you can put a custom message. So I'm going to say, and then I will go ahead and send it off. So when I click prepare document, I am presented with, all of our different options where I want to drag these signature components. So you can see this is an engagement letter. I'm going to scroll all the way down, and I'm going to simply drag and drop. So I'll go ahead and put that here. And just for timing purposes, I'm only doing 1 signee, but you can have up to 10 signees on any document. Perfect. And I'll go ahead and save and send it. So once I send that document out, right, I can see that it says sign pending right here. And as soon as this document gets signed, it's going to turn green and it'll say signed. And I keep getting this question a lot, especially from people who are new to e-signature. They want to know if this is a new copy of the document or if this is the same document, and it is the same document. So once this document gets signed, I'm not looking at 3 different copies of the same document at different stages in the signing process. It is just that live document. And once that signature is on it, you can, if you would like to save it to your local drive, you can do that. But it's safe right here in CoraCloud with that 256-bit encryption. So let's go back to clients and talk a little bit about the sharing structure that exists after we've already talked about the folder structure. So we do have a couple different roles in CoraCloud that you can assign to your users, whether those are client users or your own team members. And the sharing is not done at the client level. For example, you can see I'm in Sierra Morrison as my client. My sharing is not done here. It's actually done at the business level because, maybe I don't need help completing Sierra's personal taxes, or I don't need any collaboration, but maybe on her Washington business or her Orcas shop tax, I do need, some collaboration either from her employees or my own employees. So this is where I would actually start sharing with my collaborators. So you can see I have a couple different options. Obviously, I am the account owner. Move over to team members. You can see I've got 2 different employees of mine on this personal tax business. And then I also have Sierra as the business owner. And then I have 3 of her employees also working on this personal also have access to this personal tax folder. So that's the gist of the sharing structure. It's per entity, it's not per client. And we did that so that you have full control over, who is seeing what and who has access to what. So as far as roles go, if you give somebody an admin role, whether that is client or team member, they're going to have access to delete files. So make sure that is somebody that you trust a lot. There's also a regular role where they have access, to what you give them access to, but they cannot delete anything. So if you have, an employee that you don't want to have access to delete stuff, I would give them that regular role. Really quickly, there's also a My Firm section. So this is somewhere you can store, sensitive documents that pertain to your firm. There is no way to share anything in this section with your clients. This is just truly for your firm and your team members. And you can create unlimited folders here, just like within the My Clients section. So now that we have touched on e-signature, folder structure, sharing structure, let me go ahead and just check if we've got stuff in the chat. We use share file using CoraCloud. Awesome, thanks. I love that you're using CoraCloud. Is it possible to migrate files from ShareFile to CoraCloud? Yes, it is. So we right now are offering pro onboarding services with our support team, and they would meet with you. They'd get, you have to have it in an Excel sheet, I believe, if you want to import bulk clients. And then I think you can bulk import folders with their help. I'm not sure of the exact formatting that's needed, but I do know that it's possible, and it takes just less than 30 minutes. So to answer that question. I do want to talk lastly about the organizer. The organizer is a generic workflow tool that we've built right into CoraCloud, and it can be really handy for, delegating tasks or planning projects. And there's also a built-in AI assistant within the organizer. So similarly to eSignature, I can create a reusable template for an organizer. For example, if I need the same set of documents for every new client that I onboard, I can set up an organizer requesting all of those documents. Oopsies. I can set up an organizer requesting all of those documents and then rerun it when I have a new client that I need to onboard. So I'll go ahead and click Create New Organizer. And I'll create this within Sierra Morrison, within her business orcas. Let's do that. So I'm just going to say we're going to collect onboarding documents. And similarly to eSignature, you can enforce order here if you'd like. Let's go ahead and do 3 tasks for now. So you can see it defaults to a custom task, but if you just click that, you've got a couple different options that you can select from. So if I just want them to upload a file, I'll say upload a file, and I'll choose the user. And then I can freeform instructions here. So I can say, please upload your financial statement. Why not? Then you can actually select the folder where that file ends up as soon as it's uploaded. So that means there's, very minimal room for error as far as these files ending up in the wrong place. Because you, as the person who is delegating these tasks, you're selecting that folder. So I'm going to go ahead and select inside. I'm selecting the external working space for Sierra, which is exactly where I want this file to go. And then I'm going to go ahead and select a due date. So I'll just say I need it by tomorrow. And let's say I need her to e-sign that engagement letter that we did earlier. Perfect. Select file to e-sign. So I'll go ahead and select that exact file. Oh, I am in the wrong folder. You get the idea though. I'm in the wrong folder. Okay, let's change that. I'm just going to change it to custom. There we go. So similarly, you can select a due date. One thing I really like about this tool is that the due dates don't have to be the same. So if you, in theory, had a project that needed to span over the course of a month and there were different, deadlines that you needed to meet, you could use this tool to plan those projects out. So let me go ahead. I want to get to our Cora assistant who is built into the organizer. I'll go ahead, click review. It gives me an option to review this organizer. Then I will click launch. So here's Cora Assistant. She has two modes. So what she's going to do, if she's on friendly mode, she's going to follow up with these task owners once every 3 days via email. So she's not going to bother them too much, but she is going to send them a friendly reminder every 3 days via email. You know, hey, Sierra, I still need you to upload this file. If I move Cora to firm mode, or if I set her on firm mode from the beginning, she's actually going to follow up twice in 1 day. So she's going to send an email and she's going to send a text message that says, hey, Sierra, we still need you to upload these files. We still need you, to e-sign this file. Whatever the tasks that you have delegated are, Cora will follow up for you. And that can obviously be very helpful during tax season when you don't have extra time to be following up with all of your different clients, right? And you don't need to enact Cora at all. If you create an organizer and you know that it will get done, you don't need to enact Cora if you do not want to. And Cora there is no existing or there is no extra charge for Cora. She is fully built in and fully free inside CoraCloud. So I do want to talk to you guys about what's coming in CoraCloud. We are moving towards practice management. And what that means is we're going to have features such as time tracking and billing. We're going to have expense reimbursements right inside CoraCloud. So obviously that is extremely exciting. Can't wait for that. But as far as pricing goes, right now for everything we've got for, the unlimited client management, for unlimited e-signatures, for this organizer tool with Cora Assistant, we are $20 per user per month. And we're only charging for team members. So we will not charge you for your clients. It is truly unlimited client management. Your team members are considered your employees. So, if you are a smaller firm, maybe 1 or 2 people, this can be a really cost-effective solution for you to get e-signature, project planning, eventually, time tracking and billing at a low cost. Can we set up a reminder task like year end or the task and make it reoccurring? So that is another feature that is coming with practice management in a couple of months here. You will be able to set your organizers to automatically reoccur rather than right now how it stands. You do have to go in and manually start it again. So yes, once we launch practice management, which is about 1 month or 2 months out, we will have that feature. Awesome. Just a couple other small things. We've got obviously global search right here. You can use this to search the entirety of CoraCloud, whether you're looking for a team member, a specific file, an organizer, you can use this global search. Every user is going to have context sensitive notifications. So maybe, you don't want all of these notifications in your email, just like me. You can go ahead and turn them off if you'd like, completely up to the individual users. Awesome. If there are no more questions, I'd like to talk about what we're offering right now for you guys. We're doing an extended trial as an end of summer sale, and that extends to you guys as well. So if you like what you see in CoraCloud, you're interested in trying it out, usually our free trial is 30 days. We've extended it to 60. So there are no features behind a paywall or anything like that. You would get complete access to try CoraCloud for 60 days and find out if it's going to be the right thing for your firm. We use Amazon. Oh, that's you. Thank you, Allison, for doing that. I was not scrolled all the way, so I didn't see that question. So QBox does not integrate with CoraCloud, but most of our CoraCloud users are using QBox as well for their QuickBooks desktop files. Awesome. I'm waiting for a couple more questions, but I don't see any. Brandon, do you want to open up the floor for a generic Q&A?
Absolutely. So if anyone has any general questions for either of us. Oh, did it come through?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, if anybody has any general questions about CoraCloud or about Uncat, or how they can work together. And by that, I mean, when these tasks are in there from a practice management standpoint, then, and you want to set them as recurring, then one thing that we see firms doing is copying a magic link for a client and making it a recurring task, we're going to notify the client anyway by email or by text message if you want us to, which is actually very effective. Some clients are not awesome about email. Some don't even check it anymore. So there's a setting in Uncat where you can text message someone a reminder. But also, if they're spending a lot of time in CoraCloud, which they likely will be, then setting it as a recurring task there with a magic link, then they're always one click away from Uncat. So they can be in CoraCloud, knocking out lots of end of month tasks, uploading files securely, and click that link and jump over, take care of uncategorized, then come back. So it's a nice little kind of mini workflow, but definitely will be a time saver that we're excited about. Looks like you have a question from Mike about uploading large files.
Yes, I just saw that. Unfortunately, Mike, we are not accepting QuickBooks files right now in CoraCloud, and it is because of the largeness of them. We don't want people to get to the point where they are running out of storage and having to buy more. So yeah, unfortunately, right now, I don't think we are accepting QuickBooks files anytime soon in CoraCloud. Obviously, QBox is another story.
That's right. Cool. Good question. And safe to say, obviously, if anybody on the call has any questions about, well, hey, how do I get set up with the new QBDT file, or I've got an existing customer on desktop and I want to try this out, and we use QBox, or we want to use QBox, or we use Uncat and we want to use Uncat, and we're trying to bridge the two, no problem. We're here to help on both sides. So we'll reach out by email, but feel free to reach out to Uncat, to CoraCloud, to both of us, and we'll help make sure it all ties together nicely. See if there's any in the Q&A. I don't think so. Oh, Teresa, how long is a free trial for Uncat? It's a 2-week trial, 14 days. So I'll give you an example. If you wanted to, if you were like, oh, this is really interesting, I'll try it out now. That'll take you all the way through the August close, which can be a nice way to do it, right? So you can gather information now, and by the time you get the end of August, all the transactions, you'll have answers back from your clients. You'll probably be able to close the books faster. But you can run it at any time that you want. If you need us to extend it for some reason, if you're like, I didn't have a chance to try it with this thorny client, it's really hard to get information back from them and I want to give it a try, just let us know, and we're happy to be flexible with it. But you can invite as many clients as you want during the trial. So we always encourage people, get feedback from the clients. That's the most important thing. Do they like it? Will they use it? So far, all the evidence suggests yes, because it's a lot easier, faster, better than trying to wrestle spreadsheets, especially if you're a client, you're on your phone, you're in the restaurant, you're on the shop floor, you're doing work, then you can just, I'll take care of my uncategorized right here, versus, I'm going to need to go back to the computer tonight and deal with this. And it kind of adds up and they don't want to do it. They don't have time to do it. So yeah, you can obviously get in, try it with as many clients as you want, get good feedback from them, and then add some later as you go. Right. Question about a mass email feature. I think that's for you.
We don't have mass emailing features in CoraCloud. The only thing we do have is, if you are sending an e-sign or you're creating an organizer, those will send automatic emails to whoever the tasks are assigned to, but we don't have mass emailing, unfortunately.
I should, I'll grab a quick link for those of you that are thinking about going out to Vegas in December for QuickBooks Connect. If you've already booked it, fantastic. If you haven't yet, I'll post a link to just a blog post that I did the other day. It's got a discount code in there. It'll save you 30% if you want to register for the conference. You can also join our referral program, and we're going to give away a free ticket sometime between now and the conference. So if you want to check that out, here is a link to the blog. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. It'll be fun. QuickBooks Connect is where essentially we kind of launched Uncat, even though it wasn't ready yet. But we got a lot of feedback in 2019 as far as like, what should it do? How should we build it? Would you use it for this, that, or the other? And we got, a couple hundred suggestions of different features. And this is the way we do it at our firm. This is the way we do it at our firm. So it's extraordinarily useful for us as product developers. And so now it'll be fun to go back here in 2022, finally in person, which is going to make a big difference to be able to see people again and follow up and show them what we built. So anyway, hopefully some of you will be out there.
Awesome. We will see you there, Brandon. Coral Tree will be there as well.
Excellent. Then it's going to be fun. Then it's going to be a good exhibit hall.
It's going to be a great time. If the question is for me, Lisa, how do you upload files to the program? It's very easy. We have drag and drop abilities. And you can also browse from your local drive and select one-off files like that. Unless she was asking you, Brandon. Oh, okay.
I think it was for you, but if it's for us, my 5-second answer is you just click a little link and then the client can upload their files. So if they're on their phone, they can upload from their camera roll or from their phone files. If they're on a laptop or desktop, they just upload like any other system where you're drag dropping or selecting a file from your computer. It'll come into Uncat and it'll be an attachment on that transaction. So usually these are receipts on expenses, but sometimes you need some supporting documentation for a deposit, in which case it could be a purchase agreement or purchase order or a contract or some other file from a bank. Bonus
I'm also going to just so everyone's aware, I'm going to put my meeting link in the chat. If anyone has additional questions, feel free to schedule time on my calendar and we can discuss your specific use case, how a CoraCloud might work for you, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and link that.
Good deal. I'll reciprocate. I'll put in our demo link if anyone wants to do a follow-up demo or has other questions. And otherwise, we've got lots of good on-demand videos on the website. And it's a quick, if you decide to set up a trial, it'll take you all of maybe 2 or 3 minutes on the outside to get rolling with it. All right.
Cool.
Oh, so you might want to repost the link. It's missing a G.
I just got that one.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you so much, Brandon. So helpful.
No problem. I was like, really? Did they do it? Because, yeah.
Nope.
Kind of sounds like how we would say in Tennessee, right? Like, hey, come have a meeting. But yeah, yeah, we want to be meetings.
Yeah, right.
All good. Fantastic. Well, we certainly hang out if anyone has questions, but otherwise, huge thank you to everyone for joining us and spend a little time learning about Uncat and CoraCloud. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see some of you in person in Vegas in a couple months.
Hopefully we will. Thanks so much for hosting us, Brandon.
Yeah, likewise. Really fun to do this with y'all.
Have a great day, everyone.